this is dry bag steak. We're doing homemade dry cured pancetta, dry bag steak style. You need to start with a pork belly, and pork belly has skin on one side, bone on the other. And what we're looking for is to get 2 big pieces of pork belly so that we can either make the flat or rolled style pancetta. You need to gather up these ingredients, and the recipe will be coming along here in just a second. First thing is you want to source a big slab of pork belly. Interestingly enough, you can often find these at the ethnic stores. The stores that have really diverse meat counters for the Latino or the Asian or the African populations often have this type of cut, as well as some other really interesting cuts. And what you're going to find is you've got the skin on this side, the one side, and you'll have to work away, cutting away the skin, leaving behind as much of the fat as possible. And you can see it's a little bit of a trick. Kind of easy to imagine why a lot of pancetta producers are recommending you use the heritage breeds, which actually have a much thicker layer of fat right under the skin than some of the newer varieties of pork that have been bred leaner and leaner to suit the contemporary American tastes. So as you work away at the skin, pulling it back, trying to save as much fat as possible, think in terms of the elegance of motion, you might say. So pancetta is a very old food. They have evidence that there was dry cured meat, often pork, as early as the 15th century. So who knows, maybe Columbus had some on his ship coming over. And in Italy, where pancetta hails from, most often you find the flat style, the stesa style. But here in the US, you'll find that nice swirl of fat and meat in the rolled or arrotolata style. So we cut away the skin on one side, leaving as much fat, and we cut away the bones on the other for a nice couple rack of ribs. And here we have our 2 pieces of pork belly already. What we did is we put into a food mill all of those ingredients that we needed, including the garlic cloves, and ground them up really good. And now we're going to massage the cure in to the meat as best as possible. And you'll notice when we were trimming off the skin, there were some cuts into the meat. Obviously a very different practice than if you were using dry bag steak for whole muscle beef, as in dry aging. With curing, what you're going to do is massage the cure into any small cuts that you've got, into the edges, and you want to massage it so that the entire outer surface is very well coated with this cure of spices and salt, sodium nitrite, garlic, juniper berries. So massage it in really well, both sides. At this point we're trying to decide which of these we're going to roll and which we're going to let cure and age flat, because they're both pretty thick pieces of pork belly. So we massage in the spices really well, and you can imagine how wonderful it smelled. Just the juniper berry kind of woody, foresty smell, along with those spices. Clove in particular has the most pungent smell. So you're going to toss this in a bag, in a Ziploc bag, and just put it in the fridge for about a week and let the cure do its work. Once that week has passed, take the meat out, and what we're going to do is very carefully wash off every bit of that cure. Amazingly enough, the spices have really effectively permeated the meat, as well as the salt and the sodium nitrite, the pink salt. So similar to what you saw when we were massaging in the cure, we're going to have to massage out, or under running water, all of the cure that's in those various crevices. So make the meat nice and clean and also nice and wet. That will help with putting it into the UMAi dry bag steak material. So roll the meat as tightly as you can, squeezing out air as best as possible. When you're using dry bag steak, you're going to be applying the dry bag steak with a vacuum sealer, and this will give you nice clean contact, and it will allow the surface of the meat to dry really beautifully and cleanly. So during the dry curing process, you'll have a nice clean surface, and any air pockets really don't pose any difficulty, particularly because this is curing. So here's where we put on you're going to put on the dry bag steak bag, and it's a special size that will be available on our website soon. You're going to have to tuck it in there nice and tight. Squeeze out as much air as you can. It takes a little bit of massaging and tucking and shaking. But work out the air pockets, because it just helps if the material has really good contact with the meat. It will bond really well. And for this process, we actually used one of the most popular food saver vacuum sealers available now, which is a vertical sealer. It has these two paddles, and with a soft bag like the dry bag steak bag, you're going to need to use a piece of vac mouse to both create an opening so that when the food saver closes down on the opening to draw the vacuum, it leaves enough space to let the air out. And also it provides just enough rigidity that if you carefully fit the end of this bag in the opening, it will push the paddles. Takes a little bit of finesse to get it to engage the paddles, but you'll see there it goes. There, the vacuum was engaged. And we're going to help a little bit to push the air out the opening. The sealer did a really effective job though of pulling the air out. And there you can see, really good seal right across the opening and the back mouse. And pretty good contact all around. So we're going to take this and rest it on an open wire rack in the fridge and leave it for as long as you can possibly wait. We say here two to 3 weeks, but some recipes that we've referred to recommended aging it as long as 2 or 3 months. So you can pretty much dry cure this as long as you have the patience for. Wow, look at this beautiful piece of pancetta. Really nice results. I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can prepare with it. And that's home dry cured pancetta with dry bag steak.